It's my senior presentation. A recent statistic says that the average American will pay attention to you for about 28 seconds, so hopefully I can hold you for a bit longer than that. A few defining moments in my past education has been working with my dad, and I still do that now. I started working with him in 2004, and I was packaging boxes in a warehouse in Phoenix, Arizona. And over time, I climbed the ladder, and now I'm doing some tech support for one of the websites he operates. Another defining moment in my past education was the transition between junior high and senior high. And that was a transition for me because I went to a senior high that was outside of my boundaries, and I had to get a boundary exception to go there. And the reason why that was so transforming, if you will, is because I saw a bunch of my friends go to the other place, and I was going to the other high school, Red Mountain High School. And it was changing for me because I had to go get new friends, and a lot of my old friends were not going on the greatest path. And so it was a good thing for me to get off that road and sort of reestablish myself and pick a new direction for where I was going to go. Another defining moment was Arizona Boys State 2009. When I went there, I was able to learn a lot of leadership skills, and especially among my peers. And it was a very good program to see how government works and in a practical way with all the offices being filled. I did my community service at Gilbert Vineyard in Gilbert, Arizona, and I helped with the VBS. I helped lead one of the children's groups, and that was a rewarding opportunity for me because I was able to teach children about God, and that's really where my heart is, to see people experiencing the kingdom of God. So that was a very valuable experience to see these children getting to know more about the Lord. I did my personal essay on disproving global warming, and I wrote this essay in my 10th grade year, and I used it in the 11th, and now again for this. So I've recycled it 3 times. It's been very effective. Basically, you know, the media has only been able to project stuff that is for global warming, so I felt inspired to write something that wasn't for it, and I got my research together, found scientists across the world that don't buy into it, and wrote an essay. To my satisfaction, the UN Climate Change Director came out about 3 weeks ago and said that global warming is not happening, and that the time where there was some warming is due to solar flares, and we're now going to enter into 30 years of global cooling. However, the U.S. Congress still insists on trying to get through with the climate change bill that will raise your taxes and cut more jobs in the suffering economy. My personal aspect, if you will, is moving to Tennessee, and in June of 2009 I was made aware that we were going to be leaving Arizona and moving to Tennessee, and I took that at a strange approach. I wasn't exactly thrilled, but yet I saw it as an opportunity. And coming here, it's been good in the sense that I have raised my GPA quite a bit, and I've got some of the best grades I've had in many years. However, a lot of that is at the expense that I have no social life, and you know, that's just one of those pieces of it. But nevertheless, as I've been living here, I have really grown to like the place. It's not home yet by any means, but I like the people here. Y'all are a lot more friendly than they are in Arizona, and it's a better environment. My future plans, I'd like to be involved in ministry at some level. I don't know if that would mean being a pastor of a church or what, but like I said earlier, I really do have a heart for for having people experience the kingdom of God and growing in the Lord. And so if I can be a part of that, it would be a very high privilege to me. And so that's kind of what I'd like to do with my life. My future schooling, I'm not entirely sure as to what I'm going to do. Before we left Arizona, I had a pretty good idea that I'd just enter into a community college in the Phoenix metropolitan area, but after we did that, I'm not exactly sure. I will go where God leads ultimately. But now, if I was to graduate tomorrow, I'd probably go find a local community college, knock out the first 2 years, and then try to find a university that would best suit me for the goals I have. I'd like to thank God for transforming me into the person I am today. I'd like to thank my parents for raising me and shaping my beliefs and instilling that stuff in me. I'd like to thank my grandparents for being good examples and giving me the opportunity to travel across the country with them. And I thank Kevin and Kathy a lot for being sort of a second set of parents to me and wonderful people in my life. There you go.
Time. Oh, sorry, 4:43. do all of it, the whole senior project portfolio and everything,
Mm-hmm.
in a shortened time framework.
Yeah.
So, what difficulties did you have with that process?
Well, I did have a slight advantage that I had already done my community service in the summer, but the disadvantage I had was getting my letters and approval and things of that nature from Arizona, so that presented a bit of a time challenge with getting all that at the right time.
Jordan, what was one of the most rewarding things for you about completing your senior project?
You know, I would say just compiling all these thoughts together and sort of overviewing all the different things that have happened over the last year especially was good for me to do, because ever since we moved it's been relatively hard for me to get into that, and once I had to do this I kind of had to examine what happened and sort of brought me into reality, if you will.
So, I think you really like giving service to people and aiding people. So, if you had the opportunity to go anywhere in the world, where would you go and what would you do?
Honestly, I'm not exactly sure where I would go, but probably somewhere in the United States, because you know, I do see quite a bit of problems here and a lot of people suffering, especially in economic times. But what I would do is I would go to them and offer, you know, relief in whatever way I could. I'm stumbling here. The thing I'd most prefer to do would be to spread the word to them so they could also know about the Lord.
Lastly, what do you think are your two greatest skills or assets, Jordan?
I think my two greatest skills or assets would be leadership and honesty.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.